And then to shortcut for the second level of your technique, instead of doing all of these chords in inversion, you might want to do open position, which is here. Why do I have 2 in 2? It's the same page. It's exactly the same page. Oh well, I'll delete one of them. This is the page I created with your left hand in open position and your right hand in closed position. If you look at it carefully, you see that your right hand is playing C chord in root position, C chord in first inversion, block, C chord / E. The E note is at the bottom. This is how the chord symbol should be written. And then if you do the second inversion, which is the inversion down, you'll end up with these notes. Second inversion. And the symbol should be C / G. The G note is at the bottom. Okay. And for those who are wanting not to practice this closed position in your left hand and right hand, as I suggested, this is a sort of cheating way, is just to do that one open position. So a little review of theory, because you need it in order to practice your technique properly. I'm blowing it up. When you have a chord in the original root position like this, yes, each note has its own name, C, E, and G. But if we call them by the position they occupy in your chord, then we call the bottom note the root note. The C is called the root note. The E is called the third note, because it's a distance of a third above the root note. Okay, and then the E is called the fifth note. Because its position, oops, it didn't come in as I'm typing. Fifth note, because that position of the E compared to the C, if C was 1, G would be called 5. If C was 1, E would be called 3. That's why we call them by that, their names, like that. So any chord in the original root position, the bottom note is called the root note. The one in the middle is called the third note. The one on top is called the fifth note. So when you're playing the actual, what I call the open position, you're playing the root note of your chord, and you double that root note on top. That's the same note. So you're playing C, and C will be on top here as well. Let me change the color. So you're playing C, and C is also on top. Okay, so C is your root note. But in open position, you only play the fifth note, which is your G. G is the fifth note in this chord, and that's why I labeled it here. You're playing your root note, then your fifth note, and your root note. And that is the example with the chord C. So let's look at our hands. If we played C chord, originally it would be here. This is the third of the chord, we don't play it. We play the root note and the fifth note, and we double the root note. So the pinky and the thumb always play the same note. That's called open position. It has been explained before. So this is kind of a cheating way, because every time you have a chord, you can just play exactly that, and your hand will move around. But look at how my distance between my fingers will always stay the same. So your hand will move around for each chord, right? So you can play. And your hand just moves around in the same hand position. Yes, of course, there's a difficulty of moving around, but if you keep this hand position constant, you see a chord symbol and you just put your hand and it automatically goes there. That's a kind of cheating way instead of doing all your chords in inversion. Of course, I recommend both if you have the time. Thank you for sharing the document, Gina. So you guys see that document, this open position. You can play all of these songs. Just A minor to E minor, back to A, F, and just practice first with block chord, of course. So open position, it's just a different way to feel your keyboard. It's like a fast track because chord in inversion will take a lot of repeats before your hand actually feels it. You can put your melody hand and those open position chord in pretty quickly by just moving your left hand around to whatever name of the chord is, because the name of your chord will always be in your thumb and your pinky in the left hand, the name of it. Whether it's C minor or C major, you still play this. D minor or D major, you still play this. Because the note in the middle that makes the difference of your chord, the third of your chord, it's not being played. So this is the fast track to putting your two hands together, but it's not really building your technique as much. So depending on your goal, you can practice just open position the whole way through. And I would recommend open position for slow songs. Like if you're playing I would recommend open position. Fast songs don't go well with open position. Open position is for, slow song, because eventually after practicing block, you'll be practicing open position broken. Doom, 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 and it becomes automatic. Your hand just finds that distance. But do practice it. Block first.